that. Anything that he made on tour, him being a victim though, yeah, I truly think that he has been a victim of people that he had in his circle, people that he trusted and thought that loved him, as well as the government. So, I've never ever seen anything like the documentary that Michael Jackson did. It was a 5.5 hour documentary where Michael was talking about, he made it perfectly clear. He said Sony was the devil. That's exactly what that's just how he put it. Sony is the devil. And the things that he was talking about in that documentary, I was I was astounded. I mean, I watched it from the beginning to the end, 5.5 hours, because it intrigued me so much because the things that he was saying in this documentary was things that was happening to my brother.
Hmm.
And it was such a surreal experience to watch this documentary that Mike warned. He was giving a warning, not just to Robert, but anybody in the industry who uh, who he thought might be next.
Wow. So
So
he's seen it coming.
absolutely,
He's seen it
Robert is a
coming. Yeah.
victim.
Hmm.
And it's really hard to sit back and look at what's going on because him being found guilty of some of the things that he was found guilty, especially in New York.
Uh-huh. I
Like
I have
kidnapping. Come on, really? Kidnapping?
take a second and maybe you go back
I
in.
would find out different things and so forth about what was going on, and me, being locked up myself at that time, I felt totally helpless, and it's not.
Help. But I had a question when you were speaking about, the jury and the kidnapping and some of the charges in New York, and as
Yeah.
also as it relates to that, you had been there, and maybe for some of the people over here, they don't realize that you were his tour manager for years, so you witnessed a lot of things, a lot of history. You were right along with your brother and seen a lot of things, seen and questioned a lot of things, and in hindsight have more questions, and maybe some of those intuitions that you had about certain people, now you see a little bit differently. If you can talk about that a little bit, and about the jury, if you think that the jury in New York and the jury in Chicago got it wrong, like you started to speak about the kidnapping, he was not convicted of kidnapping, and obviously that was somebody's perspective on what he could be charged with, because a girl decided to stay in a room or whatever it is. But I know you have some feelings about some of what he was charged with, and how the jury may have gotten that wrong. If you can speak on that.
Well, I mean, my my views is more so toward the 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 judge. The judge gives the jury instructions, on things as far as them deliberating the outcome of these cases, and 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 it was, to me it seemed like it was all fashioned for a guilty outcome. You know, her not letting certain things in or putting, people putting things out there just, was put on deaf ears, with the judge because no matter what, it seemed like no matter what type of evidence they came up with, she was going to shoot it down, especially if it was something that was favorable for the defense. So that that let me know right there that to me this whole fight was fixed. You know, the government had a hard on for Robert, and no matter what the defense did, I think the outcome would have been the same. But I think it would have been an even better chance, at least, if he would have had a team of lawyers that were fighting for him. Because from my understanding, even though I wasn't there, I have a lot of people that were telling me what went on in that courtroom, and for some of the lawyers to be doing the things that they did in the courtroom, he would have did better to me with a public defender. I'm sorry, but
Don't be sorry. Don't be sorry. I think you're correct. And I want to say something about New York as well. What was your feeling as far as them, only calling so few defense witnesses? What do you think about that? Do you think that do you know, or do you think that there was other people who wanted to speak out, who were willing to testify on behalf of your brother?
I'm pretty sure that there could have been a lot of people that would have testified on his behalf, and why they didn't call more people or put on a better defense than they did. I'm not going to say that I don't know why they didn't do that, because it's clear to me that they did not want another outcome. And I told some people that, when I found out what the verdict was, that he could this is definitely a ineffective assistant of counsel case, because they were very ineffective as counsel. you know these are lawyers who've been who graduated the bar, who graduated law school. And you mean to tell me you couldn't have asked better questions, or been more specific with the charges, and talk about the things that he was being charged with? I simply don't understand. I just don't understand why those lawyers did. And I mean, prime example, you're an attorney. This is a very high profile case. How do you say in your opening statement, you got to find my client guilty? And Nicole Blank Becker said that. You know,
Unbelievable.
you don't make mistakes like that. You put that in the juror's head from the beginning, and you're his attorney. You know, so those type of things, for things like that, they are totally ignoring Robert's rights and his whole due process. How in the world does an employee of the BOP access his personal phone records and sell them to a blogger that compromises the whole case right there? And nothing is
I,
being done about there
I'm glad you
because,
brought that up.
you know,
Because yeah, I know that people are wondering, and we see it around where people are asking questions. If anyone has heard anything as to what happened with the woman, was there any punishment for her, the government official who actually leaked his, got into his private information, um, and leaked his emails and phone conversations out to the public? We understand that what was said was that she took an early retirement, and that's the end of it. Whatever happened with that being investigated, and does the public not have a right to know what happened with that? Was his phone calls compromised with his attorney, with Attorney Greenberg or Attorney Leonard at the time? I know that I remember an interview seeing Attorney Leonard on, saying that if that was proven to be true, it was grounds for immediate dismissal. So why is the public not outraged that this man your brother did not get privacy with his attorney while this case was barely, uh, you know, barely in court yet? And he would have been meeting with his attorneys, and I would imagine it was during COVID that they were meeting by phone. So were those compromised? Were his calls with his attorneys compromised? I remember Attorney Leonard saying that if that was found to be true, if it was investigated to be true, it would be immediate grounds for dismissal of some of these charges, because he has a right to that privacy. And so I just wanted to comment on you bringing that up, that we don't hear anything more about that. And I think the public wants to know what happened with that.
exactly. And the thing is, they don't want the public to know.